amid the fallout between Elon Musk and President Donald Trump.
I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
Musk threatened to decommission SpaceX's Dragon spacecraft. That's a big deal for U.S. space missions.
Dragon has been the only U.S. spacecraft launched by a U.S.-based company transporting astronauts to and from the station from the U.S.
I find this to be disconcerting how quickly this went to the threatening from contracts. That's not good for the United States.
Musk retracted the threat just hours later. Still, as the feud continues, SpaceX remains one of the largest financial and logistical vulnerabilities for both Musk and Trump. Since 2008, the government has awarded SpaceX more than $20 billion in contracts across at least 10 different agencies. Most of it is focused here.
NASA needs SpaceX, SpaceX needs NASA.
Musk said recently that SpaceX is expected to generate $1.1 billion in revenue this year from NASA. The company is less dependent on government contracts than it was in the past, but still does big business with agencies.
SpaceX has really deep relationships with a lot of government agencies. Unraveling that would not be easy for either side.
NASA made a push during the Obama administration to contract with commercial companies.
We want to leap into the future.
We had one launch provider, United Launch Alliance. They were the result of a merger of Lockheed and Boeing. When they consolidated, the costs went up and the U.S. lost market share to the rest of the world, namely China, France, and Russia. We set up competitions, and SpaceX has been by far the leader in these major competitions.
Elon brought the cost of his Dragon down to under $1 billion and then under hundreds of millions. I mean, just the savings are wonderful from a customer perspective because I can now purchase services rather than have to do them all in-house myself.
Since then, NASA has obligated more than $15 billion in awards to SpaceX, including $2.9 billion to develop a human landing system as part of the Artemis program. In 2022, NASA said the contract for ferrying astronauts to and from the ISS would total $4.9 billion.
Beyond sort of the dollars and cents, as we've been talking about with these astronaut missions, it's SpaceX that has been allowing NASA to do some of its highest profile operations.
When NASA says it's safe to fly on a SpaceX rocket, the world will follow. The governments, industries, anyone will say, if it's good enough for NASA, it's good enough for us.
SpaceX recently had to step in when another NASA contractor, Boeing, was unable to bring back 2 astronauts from the ISS.
The fact that SpaceX was tapped by NASA last summer to bring those 2 astronauts back to Earth, NASA did not want Boeing to sort of finish that job, shows how comfortable NASA is or has gotten over the years with using SpaceX and the trust that the agency has that the vehicle and the operational side of it works and can be safe. It also very much did highlight the dependence NASA has on SpaceX for this particular operation.
Between Starlink flights and missions for outside customers, SpaceX carried out nearly double the amount of launches than the next 3 most active companies combined.
That is like a huge ongoing business and something that SpaceX is expected to be doing for years to come.
Agencies also contract SpaceX for its own satellites, its growing and strategically important Starlink system.
You see sort of Starlink popping up in everything from military bases or government agencies needing some kind of satellite internet solution.
One of the most notable contracts is one to provide Starlink to Ukraine.
A lot of military officials who are thinking about the future of war have been obsessed, have been really interested in how the Ukrainians have used Starlink. That experience in that conflict zone has created just a lot of awareness at the Pentagon and frankly in governments around the world about the need for fast, reliable, secure communications in conflict areas.
Starlink is also a big revenue generator for SpaceX outside of the government. Quilty Space, a consulting firm, estimated that Starlink revenue is set to grow to $12.3 billion this year.
Starlink has provided a very significant revenue source for SpaceX that isn't dependent on government contracts and the budget cycles in Washington and all the rest.
SpaceX has a number of important future projects with the U.S. government lined up.
SpaceX, because they've been successful, have been built into the ecosystem and the architectures of future missions for both NASA and also the Department of Defense and other spacefaring agencies. So a lot of the U.S. government is dependent upon SpaceX for their very good vehicles.
It's not just responsible for shuttling people and supplies to the ISS. It was also selected to deorbit the station at the end of its operational life in 2030. And in April 2025, the company was awarded almost $6 billion from the Department of Defense for future satellite launches. SpaceX also submitted a proposal for Trump's Golden Dome, a missile defense shield that combines ground-based interceptors with satellites.
A lot of people I've talked to believe that SpaceX will have to be involved one way or the other in that because it has the most launch capacity. And of course, it's also developing a huge new vehicle that could potentially be involved in the future.
So with all of this, what does it mean for SpaceX and NASA in Musk and Trump's potential divorce?
Getting more competition is probably the biggest answer. Elon himself says he wants competition. Unfortunately, SpaceX is so far ahead in so many areas that will take years.
NASA experts think that a full breakup is unlikely.
SpaceX, Elon have every incentive to do this work. It's all supports what his long-term vision is, as stated, to colonize Mars and make life interplanetary, make humanity interplanetary.
Ideally, we can take anyone who wants to go to Mars, we can take to Mars.
A NASA spokesperson said in a statement that NASA will continue to execute upon the president's vision for the future of space, and that they will continue to work with industry partners to ensure the president's objectives in space are met.